Hello everybody and welcome to Tom's chat room. I know it's been a while. I'm sorry. Shoot me. No, please stop shooting. Put the guns down. Put them down. God damn it. Put the guns down. Anyway, welcome back to Tom's chat room, everybody. It's been a while since I've been on since I've done a Tom's chat room, based on the fact that I refuse to do a Tom's chat room without a guest who's worth being on the chat room. You see, there's no point in having a conversation in the chat room unless the person you're going to be conversing with is a good person and a good conversation. And today in the chat room, I am joined by Armour for Sleep in Reverie. That's a long name, but either way, I'm sure you'll explain in a moment.
Thank you so much, Tom. I'm glad that you have me, and I'm excited to get this started.
So the first thing I want to get into is, as I mentioned, the name Armour for Sleep in Reverie. Can you sort of give us some background into why that name is what it is?
Um, Actually, when I first made a YouTube channel, it probably would have been easier to, say something like SPD Reviewer One or something. But I wasn't planning on doing reviews when I first made the channel. It just kind of happened on the fly. But basically, AFS in my name stands for Armor for Sleep, which is a band I used to listen to. And In Reverie is the name of an album that I really like by another band. And combined, it literally says AFS in Reverie. But I say Armor for Sleep in Reverie because it just flows off the tongue a little better. But it's kind of a pain in the ass, honestly, because I like it, but YouTube has suggested I change it on numerous occasions, but I'm proving that I can still have a successful channel with a kind of complex name.
Well, my channel is youtube.com/AxelSteel21. So I know about having a strange name that you set up in the early days of YouTube, because I know all about that sort of stuff. But you're mostly known on your channel because this is what you do. Your YouTube channel. You have quite a collection of Power Ranger morphers.
Yes, I do. Go ahead.
You have quite a collection, and you obviously your channel is your review show of said morphers. So, what is it about Power Ranger morphers in particular that you decided decided that they were the reason you'd do a review show? You know, a lot of people do like just general Power Ranger toys. You seem to stick mostly down the alleyway of morphers.
Well, basically, it didn't really. I didn't really have this big concocted master plan to just do this huge review show on Morphers. But basically, what had happened was Power Rangers has kind of always been in the backdrop of my life, and maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I realized how big of a influence it actually had in my life in terms of how much I liked it. And I wanted to get Morphers I had as a child, and I wanted to get them back in my collection. Not even a collection, but just to have. And literally started with like 3 to 5 morphers sitting on my desk in my office. And from there, I was, every time I wanted a new morpher, I would see these reviews. And I would think to myself, okay, I like the fact that they did this, and I didn't like the fact they did that. And then one day it dawned on me, like, someone like me is going to want to collect, and they're going to want to know what it looks like. So I wanted to add a personal touch to a morpher review, because they're all kind of informal, if you ask me. So that's kind of how my show started. And to kind of quickly answer your main question was, the thing about the morphers is that there's so many toys, and they're amazing, and they're great. And every genre has action figures and things like that. But Power Rangers, what makes Power Rangers unique is they have morphers. So like this device changes you from an ordinary person into a superhuman fighting force known as the Power Rangers. So I always loved how they looked. Every season has their pros and cons, and it just fascinated me. And after I had I would say probably close to 10, it was contagious. It was like, it's time to get every morpher.
And so whilst we're talking about your collection and your review show, do you have a favourite morpher?
Actually, that's kind of a tough question, but I do actually have a favorite morpher. I would have to say my favorite morpher would either have to be my Zeonizer, because that's the one I rebought that kind of started this whole situation. And if you want to go just for style and substance, so the Zeonizer was more of a sentimental piece to me, so that's why I love it. And it is hard to find. But if you want to go style, straight style and sexiness, it's probably the San Diego Comic Con 24 karat gold Green Ranger, White Ranger Morpher. Only 1,000 were made, and I was able to get my hands on one. So if you're going straight up sexy girl, that's the Morpher. If you're going sentimental value, it's definitely the Zeonizer.
On morphers in particular, because what you've got there is you've got two examples. One example representing each of what I call like morpher types: the wristband morpher and the handheld item based morpher. So, do you prefer the wrist based ones or the handheld?
You know, I used to think I liked the handheld just because, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it's kind of empowering to see like, oh, like my Morphers in my bag. But sometimes when I'm in class, like when I'm in school, I kind of daydream and think, how would a Lightspeed Morpher, like wrist Morpher, look on my hand? So like I'm writing my notes and then I just for a second think, man, it would look so cool if like through my on my jacket was over this, like you could see the part of the Lightspeed Rescue Morpher. So I'm gonna go ahead and have to say the wrist Morpher because they're just pretty cool, like the Lost Galaxy one, the Lightspeed one, RPM Rev Morpher. So after, in terms of my daydreaming aspect of life, I think wrist Morphers are pretty cool because you can go grocery shopping and hey, I have my Morpher on my wrist, and people kind of know, oh, that's cool.
Have you ever, because you've got so many morphers, have you ever like stuck one in your bag, put it on your wrist, and just gone out and done your daily basis, just so you can think in the back of your mind, well, I've got my morpher just in case.
I did that one time, one of the first days of law school last August. I took a 93 Mighty Morphin Power Ranger one in my backpack, just kind of for good luck. Because it was kind of a new journey and kind of I moved pretty far to come to this certain school in another state in the United States, and it was kind of nerve-wracking. So I just thought I took my Tyrannosaurus 1993 MMPR Morpher and I went to my locker because you have lockers in law school for some reason, and I put it in there just like they would in the show and in my bag, and I just remember thinking like, I have the power to protect me. It sounds kind of cheesy, but like it was a mental, like, a mental boost. Like I have this hypothetical power that's watching over me and I will get through this stressful day. And I did. So that was the one time I did that. And it actually helped me out.
I mean, to generalize a little bit onto the actual show, the Power Rangers show, to talk about some of the elements of that that you like, because obviously you've been a fan for a long time, much like myself. If you had to, and now this is going to be one of those tough questions, if you had to pick one Ranger color from whichever season you want that could just be you in real life, which one would you take and why?
Oh, this is a really tough question, but definitely SPD Red, just because, as everyone who watches my show knows, I have a huge bias towards SPD. I actually grew up on Mighty Morphin. I was in elementary school when Mighty Morphin came out, but there's just something about that show that is not like the other seasons. And SPD, and in my group of friends that I met on YouTube, they all kind of know me as SPD Red. So it has to be SPD Red because the biggest question I get on my show, aside from the compliments and good job, is where'd you get that jacket? So I have an SPD Red jacket. I have an SPD Red t-shirt. I love SPD Red, but the funny thing about that is people think it's because of Brandon J. McLaren, who plays Jack. I love Brandon J. McLaren. He's a great actor, great character. But I actually consider myself SPD Red because I'm a huge fan of the guy Matt Austin, who plays Bridge, and the only reason I'm SPD Red is because he comes back in Once a Ranger and is SPD Red. So let's say that never happened. I would definitely say that one Ranger would be SPD Blue because Bridge becomes SPD Blue. So I'm glad he became red because red's my favorite color, and I'm SPD Red. So that's the one Ranger I would choose.
For me, if I absolutely had to, just because of how cool the suit looks, I think I'd have to take MMPR green, and I know that's everybody and their dog wants that one. But I mean, that shield just looks so cool.
Oh yeah, that's like an iconic piece. I mean, and I feel the same way. Everyone, like you said, and their mom and dog and cousin and second brother removed loves the Green Ranger. But the cool thing about that is my favorite Ranger from that season, Red, actually has an armored version and gets to wear the shield. So I kind of get have my cake and eat it too, because I get to have my favorite Ranger and have the Green Ranger's like power. So I love that about Mighty Morphin.
I certainly hope in Super Mega Force, which is coming up quite soon. I certainly hope that shield gets passed around a little bit, because I mean MMPR Black wore it in one episode, so I kind of hope they pass it around a little bit, because it'd be kind of cool to see that on one of the later suits.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if you've seen the pictures that Jason David Franks released from the shoot they did, but this might be sarcasm because I don't know if it's going to make it on the show, but there's a picture floating around on Google of him passing the shield to Samurai Ranger, Green Samurai Ranger. So, like, yeah, so the Green Samurai Ranger is wearing the shield, and Jason David Franks holding his chest. It looks pretty cool. You should check that out. It's actually pretty cool.
I just hope they do something like that, because that would just be kind of cool if he passed the shield around a bit during the episodes. Now, obviously, if you while we're still talking about Power Rangers as a general, have you, obviously we know what your favourite season is, but just for prosperity, tell us again, which one's your favourite season?
It would have to be the 13th season of Power Rangers, called Power Rangers SPD, and I want to make a quick argument. A quick argument that'll take about 10 seconds, hopefully. If Saban originally planned to change it every year from the beginning. He did not anticipate MMPR being as big as it did. So if MMPR never got as popular as it did, which I'm glad it did, and it changed straight to Zeo, or maybe they were going to do Die Ranger, but didn't since they used the footage, SPD would have been the 10th anniversary season. So that's kind of something to keep in the back of your mind, because it was the 13th and Mighty Morphin went on for 3 seasons. So I always think that's kind of funny to bring up to people. But it is what it is, and I'm glad Mighty Morphin was huge. And SPD is by far my favorite season.
The thing is, I question whether we'd have got to 10 seasons if Power Rangers in Space hadn't worked the way it had, because after Turbo, from what I've read, because I've read loads of past news articles, Power Rangers was virtually cancelled at that point.
Yeah, it was actually canceled 3 times. There's this new book on Amazon called The Power Lives On. I don't know who wrote it, but just type in The Power Lives On. And this guy basically breaks down the 20-year history of Power Rangers, and he talks about each time it was almost canceled. And you're correct. Right after Turbo, they were just like, this is not working. And it's just, and then In Space just blew everyone away because of its storytelling and stuff like that. So it was definitely that time, and then right after Wild Force, and then after RPM. Those were the times that they were considered canceling the show. So you're definitely right about that.
How long do you think Power Rangers will be able to run on? I mean, obviously we're coming into Super Mega Force, due to start airing in February. I think it's February, isn't it? Due to start airing next month, I think. But do you think after Super Mega Force they're going to just, start a new season, a whole new team, a whole new story, or do you think they can go on much after this? Because I think after a big, it feels to me like Super Mega Force is your big wrapping up series, bringing back all of your legends to sort of have one last hurrah. So how long do you think Power Rangers will continue for?
I think so long as Toyo Company keeps making Super Sentai, there will always be Power Rangers, because even in its darkest hour, RPM, it still survived. And not only that, but Saban bought it back. So Saban, I don't think, would have bought it back just to bring out Samurai and then Super Mega Force and Mega Force, Super Mega Force, because he sees money. He knows that there's a diehard fan base. So yes, you're right about the big culmination of the legends and all the past seasons, But that's mostly due to Toyo's like storytelling and innovation in terms of Gokaiger. If they did not have the power to turn into every past ranger, then we would never see a season like that. So it's more of a coincidence that it's like he bought it back right when it's about to be the big reveal. But I definitely see Saban adapting Go Busters, which is next in the lineage, and then definitely Crew Ruger after that. And then the new I don't remember the name of it, but it's a train Sentai. It's about to come out in February as well in Japan. Yeah, the new Sentai is a train themed Sentai. So kids love trains. And Kuruger has dinosaurs. Kids love dinosaurs. And Go Busters, which is next, won't be as popular as Super Mega Force because it wasn't that popular in Japan. I loved it though. It would be like a special ops season. So it's kind of like a secret agent like Power Rangers. So I think
that would be really good. That would be that sounds like it'd be really good, sort of a special ops, because I certainly want them to go back to I certainly want them to go back to the fact that the Power Rangers are like hidden and stuff, and then like they only come out when they need to, sort of thing.
Yeah, if you see I've seen Go Busters. It's really good. If you see the weapons they use, it's like binoculars that turn into a sword. It's a camera that turns into a blaster or something like that. It's pretty interesting. Like, and the actual morpher says it's morphin time. Like that's what the morpher says. It's a wrist morpher, and it says it's morphin time. And then it has this cool little theme. It's pretty cool, dude.
So, sounds like it could be a good season, but obviously, let's talk a little bit about Super Mega Force and what we hope we see in it. Now, I mean, I've seen clips of. I haven't actually finished watching normal Mega Force yet, so I could be off a bit. But I have obviously seen the final scene, building up to the big Super Mega Force start. And are you a fan of them doing that, of them ending an entire series on a cliffhanger and then rolling over to the next one? Because they did do that before with they did that with MMPR, sort of, with the powers being destroyed and then starting into Zeo and stuff. So are you a fan of that?
I am a fan of that, but the impatient person in me is like, why? Why do I have to wait so long to see the new stuff? I only have one complaint about that finale, and it's how they kind of got their powers back after they were quote-unquote lost. So, like, my theory is, or my thinking is, okay, your Gosei Morpher looks like a brick. It's the color of a brick. It doesn't work. You can't morph. So you need new powers. You get new powers. You get the Super Mega Force Morpher, and you can turn into all the past Rangers. But basically what happened was their morphers get restored, and Troy just goes off running into the battle. And I'm just thinking, why have them lose their powers for 5 minutes and get them back? That was my only complaint. Other than that, the fact that a Super Mega Force gives these mistakes a lot of pass, honestly. A big pass, honestly, because you can probably, but it's really hard to mess up a season where you're like, hey, guess what? We can beat every single Power Ranger ever that came before us. Like, that just exudes excitement. So I'll let them pass on that little story flaw that they had there. It kind of bothered me.
And I mean, I've seen video footage of the Japanese legendary war. Well, my jaw hit the floor when I saw that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And even if you see all the Rangers that aren't American versions, it's still cool to see. And at Power Morphicon, they displayed a teaser trailer of that, and man, that room went crazy. And I was there. It was basically a fangasm. Everybody went crazy. Like, it's just like mega weapons, mega this, and then all of a sudden, the mega award, blah blah blah. And then you just see all the Rangers fan out. My jaw was like dropped and my mind was blown.
I certainly hope, and I mean, they most likely will do an English version of that, but like, it'd be interesting to see how they go about doing that. Because obviously we've only seen like five or six legendary Rangers confirmed as returning, so it'd be interesting to see how they work around that.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do a pretty good job with editing, because the stuff they've shown so far, like in Troy's Visions and Megaforce, haven't really shown any of the Sentai Rangers. There might have been a slip here and there of Die Ranger, which is the season where they stole the White Ranger for MMPR. But other than that, like 99.9%, it's they've shown nothing but American Rangers, which I'm happy about because this is our piece of the pie. Like, Sensei's awesome and they have their thing and their own history, but I like the fact that this is our thing. Like, this is going to be our piece of the pie.
Now you mentioned Power Morphicon, so I see no better time than now than to get into that and to talk to you about what it's like attending Power Morphicon, both to just attend it as yourself and to attend and show off your Morpher collection there. So in both instances, what's it like?
Well, for those of you who don't know what Power Morphicon is, it's a biannual, every 2-year the official Power Ranger convention. It's held in Pasadena, California, at the Pasadena Convention Center. It is just all things Power Rangers. A lot of past Rangers come, not all of them, but a lot of the past Rangers come. They do panels, they sign pictures, they meet their fans. It's just basically you lock up a bunch of Power Ranger fans in a room for 3 days, and everyone just has a good time. Everyone cosplays. Now, to answer your question, just to be able to go as a guest is a great experience. I mean, you can never run out of things to do, especially, you know how Power Ranger fans can talk about any angle, any aspect all day, every day. That's what goes on literally. When you're in line waiting to get in the doors for the first time and get your badge, everyone's talking about their favorite episodes. Everyone's talking about their favorite Rangers. Everyone's talking about the costumes people are wearing. So just from that perspective, I want to say it was amazing. And I cannot describe feeling like that. I've honestly, Tom, you're a wrestling fan. I've honestly been to 4 WrestleManias in a row, traveled to each host city, and went to WrestleMania and had a good time. And I tell you right now, Power Morphicon blew those trips out of the water. And to be honest with you, so I was very happy about that. Now, to quickly touch on your second part of your question, to be able to display my collection for the convention itself, I just have to thank Scott, who runs it. He's the owner of PMC. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be able to display my collection. And to have just a piece of me and my collection available for display at the con was so surreal. And I didn't stand by my display the whole time, obviously, because I want to enjoy my experience at the convention and let people just look at it as it is. And to walk by on my way to another panel or to get a soda or to meet my fiance somewhere, to see people standing at the pillars where my collection was, taking pictures, pointing and saying, "Oh, look, this is cool." It was like a museum exhibit. To see people do that, it's so humbling, and I can't even explain it. And I'm happy that I'm going to be able to do it again this August. So look out for my collection this August.
Yeah, anybody obviously who does attend, look out for Chris and his collection, and also yeah. So whilst you've been there, obviously you must have met a few, as you mentioned, past Rangers, current Rangers, whatever. So any highlights of meeting some of your heroes?
Yeah, actually. The funniest thing, one of the coolest people I met there was Paul Schreier, who plays Bulk from Mighty Morphin. He's been in like a lot of seasons. He was just in Samurai. He is a character. Basically, walks around and there's this guy with him who has a boombox and plays the Bulk and Skull theme every time he walks into a room. And Jason Narvi and that guy literally are like best friends in real life. Paul Schreier, Bulk, is a great guy. And, I was waiting in line to meet David Yost, and he walked by, and I was just like, "Hey, Paul." He came right up to me, and he literally stood there for like 5 minutes and just talked to me about, like, the experience of the weekend and what made me like Power Rangers. Such a nice guy. He was so nice that I offered to buy him a beer afterwards, but he declined. He said he liked to drink, but he declined. And so he was someone... And also, I actually had an experience in an elevator. I'm a very organized person, so I'm always on time. I like to know what's going on. I like to have a schedule. My fiance is the complete opposite. She just does whatever comes to her mind at the time. No planning whatsoever. And it drives me crazy usually. Well, we get to the convention center one day. It was Saturday. And she's like, "I forgot something. I forgot what it was." And I just got settled in, and I was waiting for her to get ready. So I was already like, oh, my God. So... she's like, "I forgot something." And we went back to the hotel room. This was the one time, Tom, that I was happy she forgot something and was very unorganized. Because on the way down, the elevator stops to the floor below us, and Catherine Sutherland, who plays Katz from Power Rangers, MMPR and Zeo, and yeah, you know who I'm talking about, and Nakia Burris, who plays Tanya, walked into the elevator, and it was just them two, my fiance, and I. And I was like, okay, Chris, in my mind, play it cool, act like you've been here before. So inside, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. But outside, I'm like, hello, nice to meet you, how you doing? And they ask how we're enjoying the convention, and then we tell them how much we're enjoying it. They ask where we're from, we tell them from Texas. And then they're like, so what are y'all gonna do? And I said, well, we're gonna go to LA on Monday after Power Morphicon. And then Nakia was like, oh my God, I love LA. This is what you need to do. And she gave me like 5 things to do in LA and 5 places to go eat food at. And then after we got out of the elevator, there's a long walk, not a long walk, but it's like an alleyway to the convention center. So it's Nakia Burris, Kathleen Sutherland, my fiance and myself, and we're walking like a group of friends to the convention center. And everyone in line is just staring at us like, how do they know them? Are they their friends? I can't believe this. That was probably one of the main highlights of my experience with meeting individual Rangers at Power Morphicon. And other than the 18 plus panel, that was like one of the best highlights of that convention.
Must have at that time been a slight element of your personality that was just somewhere there in the back of your head that was like, they're friends in real.
It's just I was walking with that like in my mind. I'm like, I can't believe all these people are staring at me. This is awesome. But I was definitely walking with like that swagger that was like, yeah, I know Nakia, we go way back. I know Catherine, we go way back. So I definitely faked it. I faked it the whole time, like walking inside. Like I walked like $1,000,000, and I was probably like just a giddy kid with $5 on the inside, you know. So it was an amazing experience.
Now, is there anybody who anyone you've been excited to meet and then they've just ended up being a bit of a dick?
Actually, to be honest with you, this is not me blowing smoke up anyone's, no one was really a dick, but there is a good example of like my expectations and actually meeting someone. Everyone was super nice, super cool. David Yost was actually one of the best people you could ever meet, like just a good human being. Forget the fact that he was even like a Power Ranger. If I ran into David Yost on the street, he is one of the best human beings I've ever met from like just a personal standpoint and like a social awareness standpoint. And just advocating for the rights of respect for people. But anyways, back to your question. Also didn't want to forget Brandon J. McLaren, who plays SPD Red Jack. He was super cool. Walked by my Morpher collection. He said he liked my costumes. I was wearing SPD Red. But the person that really surprised me in terms of meeting was, and Jason Font was really cool too. I had to get these guys in. I don't want to forget them. But Monica May was probably the only person that I was a little deflated about because she was very nice. And for those of you who don't know, she plays Z from SPD. She's SPD Yellow. I had the hugest crush on her when I saw SPD, and she was just super cool, and I always thought she was awesome, and she still is awesome in my book. But when I met her, it was very like you are a not consumer, but you're just a person coming up to me for an autograph. Like very cordial, but not like overly friendly. While all the other Rangers, like Jason Font and the guy who plays Captain Mitchell from Lightspeed Rescue, like, where are you from? Tell me a little bit about you. Monica May was like, hello, okay, it's $10. Here's my credit card. Okay, she swipes it on her phone. And then she takes a picture, and all the other Rangers, even Walter Jones, the Black Mighty Morphin Ranger, put their arm around me. We're kind of close. She put her arm around me, but she was kind of like making sure there was some sort of distance, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, honestly. I'm like I don't have cooties, and you're a Power Ranger, so yeah. So that was the one instance.
The fact that she'd be like that, even though she's like effectively living off the fact that she was a Power Ranger that sort of rubs you up a bit the wrong way. Yeah, I can see what you mean by that.
It's just like oh, go ahead.
So yeah, I can sort of see that being a bit hypocritical almost, you know.
Yeah. it was just more offensive. Like you know, you need to know what you're gonna get into if you're like. If you part of any fandom, you should just know there's gonna be like you know a lot of dudes that admire you, and I'm like a pretty okay looking guy, so I was surprised that she even treated me like that. So it's just
So, uh, I mean, I'm trying to think of where else we want to go. To double back onto Power Rangers. Have you got a favorite mentor figure?
oh wow, that's a really good question. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think. I actually kind of do have a favorite mentor. I'm probably going to have to say, it's very cliche to say Doggy Kruger, and I'm not going to say Doggy Kruger, but I'll have to say RJ. RJ from Jungle Fury is my favorite mentor. Just because he's amazing. But before I get into why, do you want to tell me if you have a favorite mentor, just so I can kind of contrast in my mind?
Well, it's kind of cliche to say, it's kind of cliche to blow out the big Zordon, but like I will say from what I've seen of Megaforce, I do quite like Gosei.
Oh, Tom, you are definitely the first person in my experience of the fandom has ever had anything nice to say about Gosei. I personally think he's cool. I'm not really one of those people that's hypercritical of every single thing the show does, but go like Nickelodeon and I guess Saban brands actually were so annoyed by the response of the fans on Gosei that they made like a satire video about Gosei as a commercial on Nickelodeon. Have you ever seen that?
I actually haven't, but I'm gonna check that out. I Because I mean, I quite like the fact that he keeps drawing back to Zordon was my mentor. He taught me everything I know, sort of thing. Um, and I think that I mean I've only seen a couple of episodes, so I'm not sure whether that'll change, but I do think he seems like he'll be an interesting mentor. And obviously, there's that video footage of the end of Megaforce, start of Super Megaforce, and I just can't help but crack up at him going morph, morph, morph.
Yeah,
I can't help.
that's classic. And the biggest gripe people have about Gosei, and I don't remember that, is that his lack thereof of his lack of action. Like it's just kind of like there's monsters going around, and the Rangers kind of have to figure out their own. But the video satire, the video satire talks about his history because everyone's like, how is it possible he came from Zordon's era? He talked to Zordon before Andros killed him, and stuff like that. But basically, the video is like very sarcastic. Like Gosei was like a karate champion. Gosei is like a librarian at a library now. He's full of knowledge. And so it's just really kind of funny because they have this little kid doing like a sick karate like thing, and they put Gosei's head on top of this kid. So it's really awesome, like how they kind of stick it to the fans by who are complaining, like just be happy.
Yeah, the thing with people saying how can he be Zordon? How could he be Zordon's? How could Zordon be his mentor and teach him everything? Zordon was in a time warp for 10,000 years. I'm pretty sure he found time.
Exactly. You can't get a lot past Zordon, and I definitely think there's a way for Zordon to have mentored and taught Gosei everything he knows without having to take it so literal.
Yeah, and even there's some. My mum's just literally walked into where I'm recording and handed me a Polaroid photograph of when I met MMPR White and Red as a child. It's literally just two randoms in the suit, and the proportions are terrible and the helmets are huge. I am totally gonna scan that and put that in the video.
That is amazing, Tom. If you watch my 1 year anniversary video, because I've had 2 year anniversary, I actually show a Polaroid when I was a kid of me meeting some random bloke in a Green Ranger costume. The shield's super small, the helmet's super big, and I'm just this little kid, very happy to be there, and it's like that situation. I think that is super cool. And
I see the Fox Kids logo in the background on this picture. That gives you that gives you an idea for dating it.
Exactly. Tell your mom 2 thumbs up. That is awesome, dude.
Anyway, back onto Zordon was in the time warp for like 10,000 years, and I mean, it was often shown in MMPR that he's only connected to the Rangers through his tube, by the fact that the computers link him into their dimension. So he could easily have linked to whatever dimension Gosei is from, because obviously Gosei took the form of a tiki, because that's something that humans understand. So he probably has some other form.
Yeah, and you know what? That is a good enough explanation for me. I don't understand how people can get so wrapped up in needing like 100% mathematical precision, like explanation. Like, you suspend disbelief to see these huge robots fighting in the city, to see these people turn into costume superheroes. So can you suspend disbelief to just accept that Gosei knew Zordon? And I just don't. That's why I don't understand the hypocritical views on a lot of the Power Rangers. It's a show to suspend disbelief and have a good time. It teaches great human values. So just take it for what it's worth.
Sure. And I mean, while we're talking about Power Rangers now, I think it's about time we got a bit meta and started to pull Power Rangers apart a little bit. If you're cool with that, let's talk about leadership in the series. I mean, obviously we did try and record this in the past, and we spoke about why the Red Ranger is always the leader, have you got any opinions on why Red is always the leader in Power Rangers?
I think honestly it's just a cultural thing, because in Japan, red is a big color. Their flag is white and red, so I think in their culture red is like the man, and I think it honestly translates well here. I mean, red isn't really like our most like brightest color or whatever, but like, I like to think if Americans had anything to do with it, it would definitely be like the Blue Ranger or something, or the White Ranger especially. I think it works out well, because when you drive around, you see a red car, it gets your attention. It just says, "I am the man," and so and it's my favorite color, so I'm pretty biased about it. Now, being the leader is no issue to me, and I think it's super cool. But that's a whole other story in terms of the kind of people they've gotten, or like the progress from a human perspective in terms of who plays Red. But Red Ranger is the man, and I'm okay with that. And I think it's cultural from Japan, and we just adapted to it. What about you?
Do you ever? Well, I think I've always thought that one season I'd just like them to have a different color as the leader, and just see how people took to it. How would people take to it if one season there wasn't a Red Ranger and there was something else there? That would be an interesting thing to see. How would that work? Would people go crazy? Oh my God, there isn't a Red Ranger. Or would people be okay with it?
Oh, I think they go crazy, and I would too, because you gotta think about it. Like, I own the Power Rangers Monopoly, and the very cover of that game is all of the 20 Red Rangers. So like, if there was no red, you have to have like an epic Jason David Frank proportioned kind of character to come in. I'm not saying Jason David Frank. Someone who grasps the imagination of kids and adult fans alike. That's everyone ignore the fact that there isn't a red. But for all you people out there who haven't seen a lot of Sentai, I haven't seen a lot, but I do know enough to what the costumes look like. There's going to be reds in the next 3, so we're okay for right now.
Do you think they'd ever give us a girl as the leader?
Well, that did happen in Power Rangers Super Samurai. And I actually wrote an academic piece on this for at my university a few years ago, but like last year before I graduated. I think no for a whole season, but I think we keep making progressions. I definitely expressed my disdain for how the Lauren character was treated, because she literally trained her whole life in secret to still master Xandrid, and then she finally gets to do it. And when she shows up on the scene and everyone's happy to see her, but then they find out she's replacing Jaden, and the whole team just loses their shit. Excuse my language. They are just like, no, we miss Jaden. You're pretty cool, Lauren, but we love Jaden, blah, 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 blah. And then like they don't really want to follow her, but they do because they have a mission. And then she finally tries to still master Xandrid, and she fails. She fails at this thing she's done for, like, she's trained for her whole life for. And albeit it was for Dayu's help with Master Xandrid, but still, she fails, injures herself, gives the power of the team back to the male lead, Jaden, who's actually pretty cool. And he saves the day. So just the social ramifications that says to me in our society kind of bothers me a little bit. But then I understand the source. This show's for kids, primarily. Little boys don't understand gender issues and equality yet. So they might have a hard time following Red that's a leader, that if she's a girl. But I don't think it's an issue, but little boys might not want to buy the toys, or they might think it was weird. But really quick, the person before Lauren to be Red was Charlie from SPD, but I don't count Charlie because she was a bad guy. But the cool thing about that is Greg, the director of SPD, actually wanted to be like a Red Ranger female, and he told the guys, and this was on a documentary on the box set I got. He was telling them, hey, she's gonna be a girl, but she never shows up, and they still were not okay with it. So they muffled her voice in the distress call episode because they still weren't sure if it was gonna be a girl. So basically, a Ranger board, really quick on Ranger board, a guy basically who's a sound engineer broke down that muffled voice layer by layer and got to the core recording and figured out it was a girl. Then the next day, the Ranger board blew up. It's Red's A squad leader is a girl. A squad leader is a girl. So that's kind of dedication and speaks to the passion of Power Ranger fans. So yeah.
Because I do think it would be incredible just one season we had if one season all the way through we had a female leader with your blue being what would normally be the male Red, but happy to work for whoever the leader is, sort of thing. Could you? I mean, for example, take SPD as that team. That could absolutely have worked with a girl in Red, with the kind of character that Sky was, as the second in command, sort of thing. That could have worked.
Yeah, and I agree. And if you really think back to female dynamics, I even think, and you can shoot me if you want, or whoever's listening disagree with me if you want. It's just an opinion. But I think, just think of Time Force. How awesome Wes was as a leader. Like, seriously, like, Jen could have been Red Ranger. Because she just had a presence about her. Like, I am the woman. I am in charge. And I love Jason Font, nice guy in real life. And Wes is one of my favorite Rangers of all time. The Red Time Force Ranger is awesome. But if I never knew who he was and Jen was Red, I totally would have bought that. Maybe Lucas would have not been casted and Wes could have been blue. And Jen could have been Red, and there would have been no pink or whatever, or some quieter girl could have been pink. But Jen as Red, I could see she totally took the ball and ran with it. So Tom, I am with you 100% on that. I would love to see it, but due to the fact that money is the main motivator and little kids, little boys especially, don't understand gender equality, that's going to prevent that from ever happening, I think, in the foreseeable future.
I mean, I know there's the selling toys to little boys element, but what about selling toys to little girls?
I definitely agree. But at the same time, I think their niche market has to. They want to center on boys because then if you're trying to sell to little girls, you're basically marketing them. You're going against Barbie. You're going against all these other girly things, which I think's like okay, but then if you're comparing it to those brands, you're gonna say, well, Power Rangers is too aggressive, and girls don't like violence, and blah 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 blah. Like, I don't think that, but that's what the general consensus is going to be, and I think it would be too much of a gamble for Saban to even like venture into, unless it was an RPM situation where Power Rangers was about to just be canceled, and in that case, I think he had nothing to lose, and I think it'd be awesome. Either way, I'd be happy with it.
Yeah, because I mean, I was talking to a friend, a friend who's got young kids and had basically posted something on Facebook saying, saying I've got my kids badgering me to show them Power Rangers. Is this a good idea? Question mark. And I said yes. Show them this, and sent her a link to the original Power Rangers. She said, oh. The old stuff, and I said, yeah, the old stuff's still good. It was, but yeah, I offered to go through the episodes and pick episodes out for them, so I sent them Green with Evil.
Oh, that is, you picked the best episode they could watch, like the best 5 episodes they could watch. Literally, that's one thing I kind of want to discuss for a couple of minutes, if you don't mind. Power Rangers brings people together. It transcends generations. One of my favorite experiences at Power Morphicon with my collection was this father who was looking at my collection, and he was probably my age, but he actually looked his age. And he was with this little girl who was his little girl, and she was literally pointing at each morpher and saying, "Look, Daddy, it's Mystic Force. Look, Daddy, it's RPM." And he told me, "You know what's crazy about this?" And I was like, "What's up, man?" He's like, I grew up on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I'm like, oh, yeah, me too. He's like, now my daughter loves Samurai. And we watch all the seasons together on Netflix. And she could name all the seasons. And she's naming all the morphers right now. And I'm like, dude, like I'm thinking, what better way to bond with your child than something you can relate to them? So Power Rangers just brings people together. I think that's amazing, honestly.
Something like that is the reason why I hope Power Rangers lives forever.
Yeah, I definitely hope so too.
I want to someday be a horrible crusty old granddad and be going, oh, Power Rangers isn't the same as it was when I was a kid. You know.
Yeah, no. Here's 3 cheers for Power Rangers, hoping it lives on forever, because it definitely teaches core values to just be a good person. And on top of that, like the bonus is you get all the cool tech and the cool visual experience of the Zords, the Morphers, the actors, the legacy, the history. So long live Power Rangers.
Yeah, I certainly hope Power Rangers lives forever. But yeah, so is there anything else? Is there any other things that you think we want to sort of go into about anything Power Rangers? Any other things that you want to bring up?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to discuss, because we kind of talked about this last time, the cultural implications of Power Rangers, and how important I think Power Rangers is in terms of preaching diversity in society. When you look at Sentai, they're all Japanese people, which is super cool. I can totally understand that. That's their culture. But the cool thing about Power Rangers is that we have pretty diverse cast, and that's something I really touched on. And one of the things in my academic piece that I wrote about was like Black Red Rangers, or African American Red Rangers. And one thing I noticed, first I want to talk about that, and then I want to talk about the most diverse cast in my opinion, and get your thoughts on that, Tom. The first thing I noticed is that usually when there is a black leader, and this didn't count for Turbo, because that was in the middle of the season. But anytime there's like a black leader, you have the rest of the cast, which is white. So I wanted to bring that up because when you look at SPD, Jack is the Red Ranger who's the leader, and he's African American, super cool. And all the other Rangers are white. And I know Monica May played a Latina woman, but she actually is Scottish Irish. I mean, she's actually Irish. I'm sorry. So she's actually like Irish. So she just faked the Latina accent to get the part. So think of it for a second. Jack's the leader. Sky, Bridge, Z, and Sid are all white, right? So that was kind of interesting to me. And I thought maybe that's just a coincidence. But then you go to RPM. This was in my research for my paper. RPM, Scott's the leader, the Red Ranger, and he's African American. Scott, Summer, Ziggy, I don't count Jem and Gemma, and Flynn, we call it, they're all whites. So Jem and Gemma were Asian, but they were the Gold and Silver Ranger. But for the most part, like when you have a black leader, the other primary Rangers, the 1 through 5, were all white. So that's just something that I don't think was done on purpose, but that's something I felt was worth bringing up in my paper. and it really it's really astonishing to me, honestly. But so I want to get your thoughts on that before I get into most diverse
I think,
cast.
I think that is that sort of thing is also an accident, much like how they didn't plan for the how they didn't plan the slight ethnic problems with the first season, the Yellow Ranger being of Asian origin and the Black Ranger being Afro-Caribbean. You know, I don't think they planned for that. I don't think they planned that, and they obviously I don't think they planned any of the black leader white team following sort of thing. I don't think any of that was really planned. I just think it's something that just happens, you know, because I think there is an element of when they make the shows when they make the shows in America that they do think, well, we've kind of got our token black character now. I don't think we want too many of them. I think there is a little bit of that in there somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. I like to think it was 100% an accident, but then I also like to think that that just can't be a coincidence sometimes. Like, now I'm not saying all the way the other end, like this was blatant, but like maybe they thought about how do we offset this extraordinary opportunity we've given, an African American the ability to lead the quote unquote Power Rangers. On that note, I do want to talk about the most diverse cast in my opinion, and it has to be Power Rangers in space. I mean, just look at Andros, Christopher Heyman Lee. He's white and Asian, so I'm just gonna say he's Asian, right? He's a leader, and then you have Cassie, who is Asian. Then you had Carlos, who is Latino. Shout out to my people right there. And then you had TJ, who's African American, and right there you had the team that was like pretty much everyone was pretty much, if not half, fully minority, which I thought was amazing, um, and I just thought it was. I just thought it was amazing. I didn't keep talking. I just thought it was amazing. So from that point of view, I just thought that was something to be celebrated because that's a very very diverse cast.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, almost say that MMPR had a sort of diverse cast in the original five, having you know. Well, there is that element, but I mean, yes, in space probably does have your most ethnically diverse. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Definitely. And just want to give a quick nod to Wild Force because they come in second. Because Rick Medina, who plays Red, is actually Latino, who plays Decker too from Samurai. And then you had Alyssa, who I believe is Filipina. I have to kind of Alyssa, who plays the white Tiger Ranger. Taylor was white. Max was African American, and Danny was Latino. So that's another nod I want to give to Saban, just because that's another cool thing about the show. Like you can really represent the entire country of the United States, and even other countries like the United Kingdom with the differences of people, basically.
Have we ever actually had a blatant English Power Ranger? I don't think we ever have.
No, I do not. That would have been super cool, actually. I mean, you have your over the top, Scottish accents I've seen, but no, that's something that you might want to write to Saban about. I would love to see an English guy in a Power Ranger suit.
The only thing is, would if you got like, I mean, if you got somebody with the over the top English accent, I just certainly hope it wouldn't be like what all Americans think English people sound like, Dick Van Dyke. I just certainly hope it wouldn't be something like that. Somebody putting on an awful like Dick Van Dyke-esque English accent.
Well, I think if they sound like you, I think that's fine, because you have an English accent, obviously, but it's not like over the top or it just sounds natural.
Yeah.
So I mean, hopefully it's done right. I would just hate to see it done and just done poorly. That would just make me shake my head.
Yeah, as I said, if we do get an English Power Ranger and they sound like Dick Van Dyke, I think I might be out for a little bit, just because that because Dick Van Dyke isn't English. It's just an awful Cockney accent that he was putting on the whole time for Mary Poppins.
Yeah, that's. I agree with you there, Tom.
So I think we're reaching a good point to start to bring this to a close. So how can people find you on YouTube? Where do they need to look?
Okay, if you're on YouTube, just type in AFS, which stands for Armor for Sleep, in Reverie. IN, all one word, REVERIE. One more time. AFS INREVERIE. If you type that in YouTube, you'll see all my videos. But funny thing I noticed is when you type in kind of any morph, if you just type morpher review, I'm usually one of the first videos to come up. And just yesterday, I was Google imaging some morphers I've been researching because, Tom, I only need 2 more, and I am 100% complete. All 6 Ranger morphers, and I only need 2 more. I just need the Lunar Wolf morpher from Wild Force, Merrick's morpher, and I need Korag, who becomes Nick's dad, or Nick's dad for Mystic Force. I need his red Mystic morpher. Once I have those 2 morphers, I'm 100% done with all seasons, all 6 Ranger morphers. So, when I was looking at Google images of certain morphers, my face popped up from one of my videos, and I'm just thinking, how does this happen? Did someone did YouTube do this? Is hopefully no one took my picture and put it on? I don't care really, but I just thought that was interesting because that happened to me twice. I was looking for Lightspeed Rescue jacket pictures because I was thinking about making one of those, and my face was there again. So just type in AFSINREVERIE. Or you can also type in Power Ranger Morphers review, and I'll be one of the first guys on there. Afsinreverie. I'm kind of a silly looking guy. I kind of wear a beanie. My trademark, though, is probably my SPD red jacket. So let me know what y'all think. I comment back to every single comment I get. My show, I built it from the ground up. I don't want to say myself because without the help of the viewers, that comments and the passionate viewership I have, I wouldn't get to where I am. But literally no advertisement, no partnership. And I used to, just to give you a quick insight, Tom, I used to shoot a new episode every 100 views. Because when I first started, it would take a month to get 100 views. And this was about 2 years ago and a month ago. 2 years and a month ago. Now I have to shoot a new video between 650 to 800 views because the first day I get 100. And that's just astonishing to me. So my next review is going to be Megaforce, more for review. So after Megaforce, Super Megaforce, and I will not be done, folks. I will definitely the next spin-off show, if you will. Well, before I do a spin-off show, I'm gonna review all the 6 Ranger morphers that I did not have when I did the morpher review for that season. So Magna Defender, Merrick Lunar Wolf morpher, the Mystic Force morpher I just talked about. Those are the next morpher reviews after I'm done with all the seasons. Then after that, really quick, last plug, I'm going to start a spin-off show where I do a tutorial for each season on how to do the hand movements for each morph and what to say. So look out for that. I'm for Sleep and Reverie. Tom, thank you for having me on.
And thanks for being here. So, to all of you guys watching, you can find me on, obviously, you're on my YouTube channel, so you don't need to look for that. Watch some of the other videos. Let me know what you think of some of the other content. Make sure you track me down on Twitter. It's at TomWilliams1990. This has been another episode of Tom's Chat Room, and I bid you guys farewell. The door is to your right, and do be sure to come back again. This has been Tom's Chat Room, and I bid you farewell. Quick thanks go out to any background music used in this video is provided by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. The information for that is in the description. So thank you guys for watching Tom's Chat Room, and this has been another episode. Goodbye, everybody.